days, the video of Yang. In the past 2 days, the video of Yang Ming's, a 6-year-old student from Class 7 of Dylan Diane's parent-child research camp, who took the initiative to throw all the Ultramans into the trash can, has aroused heated discussions among everyone. Everyone thinks that the parent-child research course of Canon is very effective. This kid is too powerful. Why is this a hot topic? The reason is that most parents know that it is not good for children to like Altman, but they are powerless to change it. You must know that Ultraman exists like a god in the minds of many children, especially boys. Many children don't need their parents, but they also want Altman. In many families, Riot Man's status is higher than that of parents, teachers, and grandparents. However, Yang Ming's was able to take the initiative to throw away the Ultraman after several classes, and said these are trash, which will affect the growth of his righteous seeds. No wonder it aroused everyone's emotion, this child's so amazing. But having said that, children really can't like Altman. Once a child falls in love with Ultraman, aspiration, wisdom, etiquette, and body will be completely lost. Next, let's analyze the reasons. 3 strategies said, for those who contain chi, I am willing to get their ambitions. First of all, every child likes powerful characters. This is a child's nature, and it is also the survival mechanism that God has set up for every child. Why does God set up such a survival mechanism for every child? The reason is that when people survive in society, they will face competition, and to win the competition, they must have ability, and the best way to acquire ability is to learn from the strong. This feature becomes more obvious as children get younger, and reaches its peak at the age of chasing stars. Therefore, God set up children to learn from the strong in order to protect children to survive better, which is a good thing. From this point of view, it is normal for a child to love learning, which means that his nature has grown, while it is abnormal for a child not to love learning, which means that his nature has been lost. So, how does a good thing turn into a bad thing? The reason is that control has been taken away by capital. Capital designs a fake powerful character for children to learn, thus turning the instinct of children to learn from the strong to the opposite, and finally achieves the goal of Li Dao Sniff. Its specific operation only needs 2 steps. The first step of capital is to create a powerful character first, such as Ultraman, such as Superman, and through a series of foil operations, let children feel that it is real and powerful, so that children like it. The second step of capital is to make use of children's nature of learning from the strong to anti-intellectualize the behavior of fictional characters. For example, Ultraman does not need to read books to learn to defeat monsters, which leads children to dislike learning, so children who like Ultraman will not like to read books, and their studies are not very good. Another example is that Ultraman does not need to do homework to defeat monsters, which leads children not to do homework. Therefore, children who like Ultraman will procrastinate when doing homework and will not take the initiative to complete homework well. Another example is that Ultraman does not need the help of the team to defeat monsters, thus guiding children's individualism, so children who like Ultraman will not have a good interpersonal relationship. Also, Ultraman is more powerful than his parents, so it doesn't matter whether he listens to what his parents say, he must listen to what Ultraman says, so the family of children who like Ultraman will not have a good parent-child relationship. All the situations listed above must be deeply felt by many parents. In addition to Ultraman, the nature and routine of chasing stars are actually the same. The first step is also to use the instinct and nature of learning from the strong. Capital passes through a kind of entrustment. This entrustment may be a certain political figure, a certain group of writers, or a certain group of university professors, or a certain very successful entrepreneur, or even the official media of various countries. News. Package a star who is worshipped by tens of millions of people, a star with countless auras, guides the big kids to like it. The second step is to set up a lot of anti-intellectual behaviors, such as no need to study hard, no need to aspire, no need to open up wisdom, and no need to practice etiquette. However, because children have no discernment and only see the powerfulness of stars, and because it is a child's instinct and nature to learn from the strong, children will naturally chase after stars and start to imitate those anti-intellectual and brainless behavior. In this process, neither teachers nor parents can change or stop it. Because the power of heaven is reflected behind the children learning from the strong, the power of man is incomparable to the sky. The only way is to guide the children to learn from the real strong. Why can children who have learned the parent-child research camp be able to easily excellent? Is it easy to get high scores in all subjects? Is it easy to become a good student and a little helper that the teacher likes? The reason is that after passing the corrective education of the parent-child research camp, the child can first cut off the low-child connection and stop planting grass for his brain. This action alone is worth millions, and if you keep going, you can surpass many children. After all, those children who like Ultraman, Yellowly, and start chasing children, what they are doing is anti-intellectual learning, low intelligence learning. Secondly, children can learn from the real strong, learn from sages and great men, and learn from super wisdom and sage wisdom. Therefore, it is easy for children to achieve high scores in all subjects and become adults. Let the children complete the deviation correction, and we can return the action to operate. There are also 2 steps. The first step is to let children know that truly powerful people are great men, historical heroes, sages, and fall in love with truly powerful people. The second step is to give play to the child's instinct to learn from the strong. If these 2 steps are done well, most of the education problems will be solved. For example, many children in the parent-child research camp like to read books because they like Chairman Mao. Because they like Chairman Mao, they know that they have to study hard. Chairman Mao knew to be polite and to have a group of good friends to get things done. As long as the child returns to the right path and utilizes the power of heaven, he will improve very quickly, and can easily surpass the children around him and stand out. This is why many students in parent-child research camps can change their scores in 3 subjects from D and C to 3As in just a few months, or half a year or a year. The underlying logic of excellent students. In short, children liking Ultraman will lead to a complete loss of will, wisdom, propriety, and body, and after children attend the parent-child research camp, through correction, they will like real heroes and sages and become aspirations, wisdom, propriety, body comprehensive development. Japan is innocent, we should not hold on to it, but should understand the truth, give understanding, and forgiveness. No one thought that the sentence of eating the inside out came from the mouth of Yuan Kekin, a doctor of history. It was said at a lecture at Jilin University, a key university in my country. Yuan Kekin's family background is very mediocre, and his parents can't provide him with very favorable living conditions, so they can only spoil him in other aspects. Yuan Kekin is talented and intelligent. Since he was in school, his grades have always left others far behind. It is precisely because of this that Yuan Kekin has a sense of pride in his heart. He never let his parents worry about his studies, and passed all the way to high school. Yuan Kekin relied on his intelligence and hard work, and was directly admitted to an institution of higher learning like Jilin University. During his college years, Yuan Kekin chose to major in history. In the process of studying history, Yuan Kekin gradually developed a strong interest in Japan. He likes Japanese culture and is willing to learn more about it. Therefore, after graduating from university, Yuan Kekin proposed to his parents the idea of going to Japan for further studies. In fact, with Yuan Kekin's family background at that time, it was very difficult for his parents to support him to study abroad, but they still gritted their teeth and insisted on satisfying his wish to study in Japan. Yuan Kekin lived happily every day when he came to the strange country as he wished. In the past, he could only see the history and culture of Japan from a distance in books, but now he has the opportunity to experience it on the ground. When he was in graduate school, Yuan Kekin was also very positive. This attitude made his Japanese supervisors very satisfied. They hoped that he would stay and study for a PhD after finishing his master's degree. They had high hopes for Yuan Kekin. When the Japanese tutor put forward this proposal, he originally thought that Yuan Kekin would agree with a high probability. Little did they know that after Yuan Kekin finished his master's degree, he inexplicably disappeared from the world before their eyes. No one could contact Yuan Kekin, not even his parents who were far away in China, and they were extremely anxious. 3 years later, Yuan Kekin reappeared in people's field of vision like a normal person. As if the previous disappearance was just being taken away by aliens, he himself never mentioned that experience. When people asked him, his mouth was as stiff as a clamshell and he couldn't pry it open. 3 years ago, he did not choose to study for a PhD, but Yuan Kekin chose to continue his PhD 3 years later. His teachers' appreciation and support for him did not disappear because of the 3-year gap, but continued to take Yuan Kekin to give lectures at major local institutions of higher learning. No small influence. Yuan Keqinyuan's alma mater in China, Jilin University, is also very proud of having such an outstanding alumnus. So they invited Yuan Keqin to return to the motherland to develop, and to give a speech at his alma mater by the way. Yuan Keqin said the enigmatic statement in his speech, "Japan is innocent, we should not hold on to it, but should understand the truth, give understanding and forgiveness." Even Jilin University was caught off guard. The principal didn't dare to let Yuan Keqin finish his speech, so he asked Yuan Keqin to go to the office directly. The principal asked Yuan Keqin what was his motivation and reason for saying this. The ear went in and out of the right ear, and he didn't answer directly. Seeing Yuan Keqin's refusal to communicate so much, the principal decided not to let Yuan Keqin come back to teach. If the students' thoughts were misled, the consequences would be unimaginable. The National Security Bureau also paid close attention to Yuan Keqin's wrong thinking. They secretly set up an investigation team to conduct a detailed investigation into Yuan Keqin's inexplicable disappearance in Japan for 3 years. In the early stage of the investigation, the National Security Bureau, which was as precise and quick as a falcon, also fell into a dilemma of no progress. There is no clue about Yuan Keqin's 3 years. Later, because of a coincidence, I learned the truth about the years when Yuan Keqin disappeared. In those 3 years, the Japanese did a thorough brainwashing and training for Yuan Keqin, and repeatedly sent some of their own distorted history to Yuan Keqin. It's like training a robot, day in and day out. In the end, Yuan Keqin was successfully used by them and became a traitor. Japan has Japanese laws, so it is very difficult to arrest Yuan Keqin across the border. Therefore, at that time, our country adopted the method of sitting on the sidelines and waiting for rabbits, to endure temper and so on. On May 25, 2019, Yuan Keqin was arrested by the Chinese police when he returned to China to attend his mother's funeral. On December 27, Japan's Traitor University of Education held a press conference, saying that a Chinese professor of the school could no longer be contacted after returning to China for a funeral. This undoubtedly implied to reporters that Yuan Keqin was detained by China. So, not long after the press conference was held, some Japanese journalists worked tirelessly to come to China to verify the fact that Yuan Keqin was detained by China. On March 26, 2020, at a press conference held by Foreign Ministry spokesperson Geng Shuang, Japanese journalists openly questioned whether it was true that Japanese professor Yuan Keqin was detained by China, facing such sharp questions from Japanese journalists. Chinese Foreign Ministry spokesperson Geng Shuang replied directly, "Yuan Keqin is a Chinese citizen. He is currently being investigated by the Chinese Security Department for suspected espionage crimes. He himself has fully confessed the facts of his criminal behavior." He then stated that Yuan Keqin has now been transferred to the Procuratorate for review and prosecution, and the case is still under trial, and for Yuan Keqin's various lawsuits, the case handling agency has fully guaranteed his litigation rights. Not only Japanese journalists questioned at the press conference, but Yuan Keqin's son Yuan Zhenji also publicly stated at the press conference that his father was wronged, and hope everyone can seek justice for Yuan Keqin. In the face of Yuan Zhenji's unreasonable troubles, the spokesperson of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of my country, Zhao Jian, said that he did not know what kind of mentality the people who said such words had. As a Chinese, Yuan Keqin was trained by China, but he did things that harmed the interests of the country. This is the behavior of a traitor, and he himself has confessed. Zhao Jian said that regarding this matter, no one should take chances. Anyone involved in harming the interests of the country should be punished as they should. Yes, as a Chinese, being a spy for Japan in peacetime is no different from the traitors who helped Japan to kill Chinese compatriots in the war. They will be reviled by the whole people. Don't forget the national humiliation and remember the history. The most basic principle of Chinese people. Basically realize socialist modernization from 2022 to 2035, from 2035 to the middle of the century, build our country into a prosperous, strong, democratic, civilized, harmonious, and beautiful socialist modern power. The report of the 20th National Congress of the Communist Party of China, it clarified the two-step strategic arrangement for comprehensively building a modern and powerful socialist country, determined the timetable, and formulated a roadmap. Basically realize, the next 5 years will be a critical period for the start of building a modern socialist country in an all-round way. Doing a good job in the development of these 5 years is crucial to realizing the second centenary goal. Therefore, to study and implement the spirit of the 20th National Congress of the Party, we must deeply understand the strategic deployment made by the 20th National Congress of the Communist Party of China for the comprehensive construction of a socialist modern country, effectively unify thoughts and actions with the spirit of the Party Central Committee, and put the focus of work on the implementation of the main objectives and tasks. The goal is the direction to move forward, and the task is the handle for exerting force. The report of the 20th National Congress of the Communist Party of China proposed new breakthroughs in high-quality economic development, further improvement in the institutionalization, standardization, and proceduralization of people's democracy in the whole process, basically synchronous growth in residence income and economic growth, and more solid national security. The main objectives and tasks in 8 aspects. This means that under the grand blueprint of comprehensively building a modern and powerful socialist country and within the overall goal of my country's development in 2035, scientific planning and comprehensive deployment have been carried out for the work of the past 5 years. Only by closely focusing on these major political principles for the development of the party and the country, promoting practical development, and carrying out creative work can we achieve new achievements and open up new situations. To fully grasp the 8 main objectives and tasks in the next 5 years, we must deeply understand the arduousness and complexity of realizing the various objectives and tasks of building a socialist modern country in an all-round way, and strengthen the consciousness and firmness of implementation. Overall, from high-quality economic development to reform and opening up, from the whole process of people's democracy to the construction of a beautiful China, from income growth and economic growth to people's spiritual and cultural life, from national security to international status and influence, it can be said to cover economic, political, culture, society, ecology, security, international and other aspects. Specifically, each major task has its own development goals. Keywords such as making new breakthroughs, taking new steps, further improving, enriching, and obviously improving have made progress to a large extent. There is more motivation and sense of direction in all tasks. In this sense, we must always maintain a high-spirited and progressive mental state, a pragmatic and progressive work style, and effectively plan and promote systematically around the key points of various work deployments. 1 point for deployment, 9 points for implementation. To implement the spirit of the 20th National Congress of the Communist Party of China, there must be plans and deployments, and on the premise of grasping the general goals, general directions, and general requirements, each goal and task should be refined. Focusing on the 8 main goals and tasks in the next 5 years, it is even more necessary to come up with specific implementation plans in a targeted manner. It must be comprehensively promoted and focused, and it must be focused on the present and long term, and move forward in a solid manner. This requires all regions and departments to transform these strategic deployments into work tasks in light of their own realities and the planning and arrangements of their own areas. They should make lists when making lists, and make plans when making plans, and test and implement them with practical results. Implement the results, so as to not only add luster to a region, but also add luster to the overall situation. This also enlightens all regions and departments that they must resolutely implement the decision-making and deployment of the Party Central Committee, earnestly perform their responsibilities, act promptly, pay attention to progress and pay more attention to quality, and ensure that real achievements are achieved with a practical spirit. The blueprint has been drawn, and the trumpet has been sounded. The new journey is an expedition full of glory and dreams, and the current and future work is an exploration full of opportunities and vitality. Always aim at the goal, firmly focus on the task, take responsibility, seek truth, and be pragmatic, work hard, move forward with courage, and grasp all tasks well, and will surely create a brighter tomorrow with actual results.